Today on Sports Central, we'll be going over a college football game preview and prediction on a game coming up in the SEC in Week 12, and this one's going to be between Kentucky and Alabama. Both these teams, of course, have had very different seasons. Alabama on one side is definitely the most consistently good team in the nation right now. Meanwhile, for Kentucky, they're trying to build back some momentum after a rough go at it the past few weeks. Of course, they did beat Vanderbilt on November 14th, just a couple of days ago. However, they have taken a couple losses previously. The end of October was pretty rough for Kentucky, and they're trying to bounce back from that, which we're going to be going over a full game preview and prediction on why this game is going to be a big one in the SEC coming up this weekend. And we'll be going over a full preview starting out with their team trends. Of course, last game, Kentucky beat Vanderbilt once again, 30-35 was their final score there. Alabama did beat Mississippi State 41-0. They ended up shutting out the Bulldogs there, which was a big win for Alabama. But for your winning streaks for both these teams, Kentucky is currently 3-4. And they've got a one-game winning streak. Alabama is currently the top-ranked team in the nation, 6-0 with a 6-game winning streak. So Alabama, I mean, there's no doubt that this Alabama team is for real this season. Like, we've seen how they've played out, especially over the past couple of weeks, and especially the past few weeks. I mean, October in general for Alabama was great. They blew out all of their opponents pretty much, and that included Georgia and Texas A&M. So Alabama's been looking very, very good so far, and yeah, they're easily the biggest contender, I would say, to win the SEC right now and definitely make it to the playoff. I mean, it wouldn't have surprised me a single bit if you told me Alabama was going to win another championship this season, because they've been so consistent. Like, that's been the thing with most teams in college football this season, is they just haven't been able to be consistent. And for Alabama, the Crimson Tide have been extremely consistent this season, which is the reason why they're definitely such a dangerous team currently in the nation. But this game's to be on Saturday, November 21st, 4 p.m. Eastern in Tuscaloosa. So Alabama will be your home team here. Spread currently says Alabama by 30, so it is going very heavily on the Alabama side right now. ESPN FPI's got Alabama 97%, and Vegas prediction is going for Alabama as well, 42-16 being the current projected final score. Here's your stack comparison for this game as well. 23 points per game for Kentucky, as well as 21 points allowed. They got 123 pass yards a game, 193 rush yards. Then for yards allowed, they got 214 passing and then 148 rushing. As far as it goes for Alabama, they got 47 points per game, 22 points allowed. They got 380 pass yards a game, 175 rush yards. Then for yards allowed, they got 260 passing and then 128 rushing. So Alabama on the flip side, definitely, I mean, that just shows how consistently good they are. I mean, 47 points per game in comparison to their 22 points allowed. That is extremely impressive out of Alabama. I mean, especially considering that 6 games in definitely the toughest conference in college football. Yeah, Alabama is a really good team this season. And they've also averaged once again, 380 pass yards a game. Mac Jones currently has nearly 2,200 yards on the season. That's through 6 games. He's on track. Like, if this was a 12-game season, he's probably on track to hit 5,000 yards. And that's just crazy to think about. He also has 16 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So he's got a great touchdown to interception ratio going from this season. So yeah, Mac Jones definitely, I think, will be an early round draft pick next season, or in the upcoming NFL draft, because he's been playing extremely well. And especially if he can stay healthy, that's going to be huge for Alabama moving forward. As for Kentucky, they got Terry Wilson. Of course, he's been injured a lot in the past, but so far he's been playing the majority of the time for Kentucky. Currently, he's 75 for 116, so he's got a decent completion rate, but he's got 710 yards along with 6 touchdowns and an interception. So he hasn't been terrible with the interceptions, but all around, there's definitely a lot of improvement that can be done for Kentucky. But the main way that Kentucky is able to do well offensively is because of Rodriguez, their running back, who's currently got nearly 600 yards of offense on the season with 6 touchdowns. He's been playing actually pretty good for Kentucky, but for Alabama, I mean, they average 380, once again, passing yards per game. That is extremely impressive, and this team is basically averaging 600 yards a game right now, which is extremely impressive out of Alabama. To be exact, it's around 550, but you get my point. It's a lot of yards out of Alabama right now offensively. Here's some key points for this one. Of course, Kentucky is definitely trying to gain back some momentum moving forward. Kentucky is not really looking like one of the best teams in the SEC right now. They're actually 3rd right now in the SEC East, but I mean, that SEC East is extremely weak this season. You've got Florida and Georgia at the top, and then you got Kentucky, Missouri, Tennessee, etc. So really, I would say the SEC East division is way worse than the SEC West this season. I mean, you've only got really 2 contenders in that SEC East in comparison to the West, but Kentucky is still, I mean, I still think Kentucky's in contention for a good bowl game, and if they could get a win against Bama here, that would be absolutely insane for Kentucky. That'd easily be your signature win of the season, and for Kentucky, I mean, that could set them up for a pretty good bowl game if they can get a win here. Alabama is easily the most consistently good team in the nation. Already went over that. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Crimson Tide right now are just steamrolling over all of their opponents. I mean, once again, let me remind you, they did beat Texas A&M, who's currently a top team in the nation, a top 6 team in the nation. They beat them 52-24. They beat them on October 3rd by over 30 points, which is extremely impressive out of Alabama, considering Texas A&M is now a top team in the nation, and they also blew out Georgia by a comfortable 17 points. So Alabama is for real this season. This is a dangerous team, and I think it's going to be very tough to beat them in the SEC, and I think Alabama's definitely going to be a very tough out once we get towards the college football playoff. But Mac Jones has been as good as he's ever been, no doubt about that. I mean, there were some questions about the quarterback situation in Alabama, especially considering they lost Tua after 2019, but Alabama, I mean, all those questions have been answered. Mac Jones has been playing extremely well, and honestly, if you're looking at both teams in this game, really all the pressure is on Bama here. I mean, Kentucky has absolutely nothing to lose at this point, so I think Kentucky's going to throw the kitchen sink and everything at Alabama in this matchup because, I mean, this is the big game for Kentucky. This is their biggest game of the season by far. And honestly, for Alabama, they've got everything to lose. If you think about it, like if Alabama loses this game, that sets up many other teams to have a good position for the college football playoff, which I think even if Alabama is a one-loss team and still wins the SEC, there's no doubt that Bama will be in the playoff. But my point is here is that Alabama, I mean, this could be a really bad loss for Alabama if they lose here because Kentucky is not really looking all that good right now. So this would be a terrible loss for Bama, but I think the chances of Kentucky winning this game, though, are extremely unlikely. I've got Alabama winning this game in a blowout. I think your halftime score is going to be 28-3. Alabama's going to come out of the gate and get 2 to 3 touchdowns in the first quarter. I think in the second quarter it's going to be a little bit slower, but Alabama's going to lead it by a comfortable 25 at halftime. Final score is going to be 45-10. I've got Alabama winning this one without a doubt. Probability is going to be 90% towards Alabama. I think Kentucky's got talent. They got Terry Wilson, who's been a decent quarterback. They got a good running back. But Kentucky they're just not good enough for Alabama right now. The Crimson Tide are easily, I would say, the best team in the nation. Once again, they're extremely consistent. Alabama never misses a week, and Nick Saban has done an excellent job with this team this season. I mean, especially coming off of what you could call a bit of a down year in 2019. 2020 has been excellent for Alabama so far. This has been as good as I've seen Alabama in a few seasons at least. I mean, this Alabama team is looking for real. I definitely think that they're going to be a big national contender moving forward into December, as we are on the verge of that already. But Alabama is definitely on the horizon Alabama's blown out every opponent up until this point. I think this game is going to be no different. Alabama gets the win once again. 45-10 being the final score. Probability is going to be 90% towards Alabama. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this matchup. Let me know your score predictions, all of that down below. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. But then again, thanks again for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this preview, slap a like on it, subscribe as well, as it really helps out the channel. But as always, thanks again for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. I will see you all later.